What's going on, y'all? It's your boy Kofi Kingston, aka 1/3 of the New Day. You're not gonna say it with me, sir? Yeah, come on, you better participate. Let's try it again. 1/3 of the New Day, and you are watching The Young and the Wrestlers. Ha 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 ha.
Welcome to The Young and the Wrestlers, the Pop Culture's WWE podcast, where we deep dive into the storylines and the soap opera nature of the WWE. I'm one of your hosts, Ryan Betson, alongside a special guest this evening coming through in replacement of Jem the Piercer. She's out today. We have The Mullet Show, Mr. Craig. How are you, Craig?
I'm very good. I am indeed The Mullet Show, and I may or may not be wearing pants.
It's up in the air at this stage, ladies and gentlemen. But you know what?
Yes, it is.
Whatever you. This show comes at you every Thursday morning at 8 a.m. on your podcast services, 9 a.m. on those YouTubes. If you want to join that wrestling conversation, head over to our social medias. That's Facebook, Discord, Instagram. All those links are in the down below areas. If you want to join the conversation as it happens, head over to twitch.tv/thepopculturist, where you can watch us record this show live. Want to support the show, you can. Tell your friends, tell your family about this little wrestling pod. Of course, if you're listening to us on a podcast service, be sure to give us a 5-star rating, a written review. If you're watching on the YouTube, give us the old thumbs up, subscribe, leave a comment below. We'd love to hear from you. You can always support us financially at, what's the thing? Yeah, patreon.com/thepopculturist, or our merchandise store, popculturist.com/shop, where you can buy shirts and other assorted shit with our logos on it. That is right, Craig. You are replacing Jem. Jem is off for the week. She's like, I can't do this week. I'm like, you know what? That's cool. I'm gonna get.
Can I just interject and say nobody can replace Jem?
That's true. Nobody puts Jem in a corner.
Nobody
puts Jem in a corner.
Nobody puts Jem in the corner, but I'm gonna do what I can.
Now, for many that would take part in the PopC content would probably know who you are, but maybe not. Give us a quick rundown. I've got my fluff hair going on. Give us a quick rundown of who the Mullet Show is as a human.
Who the Mullet Show is?
Yeah.
Well, it's not a very interesting story. Picture it. Warrnambool. 1971. It was a cold, blustery June morning. No, all right. Basically, my story is I'm the mullet. I started doing a radio show. That's where the name began. Here in Geelong, I do a radio show every Friday out of 94.7 The Pulse, which is a community radio station here.
Where we started.
Not so much at the moment because, of course, with the lockdown and everything, we're not able to get into the studios. But I do also stream. In fact, I used to stream the show live while I was going to air, and looking into evolving into some other content and stuff coming very soon. Stay tuned for that one.
Those goddamn DMCAs wrecked your day, huh?
Oh, those DMCA. Well, that was the entire premise of my show, was playing music. So, unfortunately, I have to find another way around.
Yeah, make life a little bit hard. That's a shame. But anyways, Craig, you are here to talk wrestling. Both you and I,
right.
We actually have been sharing our wrestling experience, actually.
Aww.
We have been watching it together through the power of Discord. You've been booting it up on your watching device. I've been pulling it up on my watching device. And we have been having a shared experience, a shared moment.
You might even call us to do a little callback to your shirt, the Guyconics.
Oh, that's a good name. So, yeah, we're being pretty Guyconic, and we're watching the show together. It's good fun. So I'm glad to have you on this week as we chat the Raw and the SmackDown. We'll kick things off with SmackDown as we always do. Let's see. I'm just going to do it because normally we kind of just pick stuff and go with it, and that's what we're going to do. We're going to kick things off with Sheamus. So Sheamus is, as we come to learn, he's done. He's done with Jeff Hardy, Craig. He's like, nah, look, I lost fair and square. That's cool. Who else? Who can I fight now?
Didn't they challenge him to a fight in the pub because that's his superpower?
Yeah,
so, you know.
that's his thing. That's his superpower. That's his place of strength. It's where his demons lie.
So he's basically gone, yeah, I'm done with this shit.
Yeah, he's like, look, I've taken my beating. I've taken the L. That's cool. It's done. All right, let's move it on. Who's around? And then he's like, all right, fuck you, King Corbin. And that's where he is looking to sort of put his eye on. Well, actually, before that, he had himself a match with Matt Riddle.
He did. The bro himself. Big fan. Loving Matt Riddle's work.
Yeah.
I hope they give him the push he deserves because he could well be a belt contender soon, I think, the way he goes and the way he pushes it. But, yeah, it was a solid match. It was a very good match.
But it was very interesting here. So the reason we mentioned King Corbin at the start here is because from last week, King Corbin has put a ransom, a royal ransom, or the King's Bounty, on the head of Matt Riddle.
King's Bounty, I think. Oh, yeah.
Which is essentially whoever can take him down, you go and get some cash dollars from Matt Riddle. That's where it's at right now. So during this match with Sheamus, which as you said was pretty good, it was I enjoyed it. You know, Sheamus being the big hard kicker that he is, and Riddle just being an awesome all rounder. It was really solid, but it was interrupted by Chad Gable. I'm not calling him his other name. Chad Gable gets involved because, as we learned last week, he wants that cash money. He wants them paid. Corbin dollars.
Corbin dollars.
That's right.
Corbin Dallas.
Corbin Dallas.
Still pop culture.
He wants them Baron Bucks.
Baron Bucks. Okay, I like that. Baron Bucks.
Yeah. But in short, it ends up his attempt to jump on Riddle does count as a DQ. Therefore, the win does go to Matt Riddle. Sheamus, understandably pissed. Brogue kicks living fuck out of Chad Gable's face.
He does. He got
and because this, in fact, had cost him the match, Sheamus's eyes are now on that King Corbin. Do you think this is the right? Do you think this is obviously it's the right call? Because if I was Sheamus, I'd probably be shirtless all the time, and two, I would probably be in the same thing. Like if my win, like I just had a big loss, and I'm wanting to essentially reprove myself. Mm-hmm. I want to come out and I want to win, but this little prick ruined that for me.
Yeah, Sheamus was away for a while, and he sort of. When did he actually return? It's been a few months now, hasn't it?
Yeah, it was early in the year when he. That's the thing is like there's a history here. When Sheamus returned, the first thing he did was put eyes on Chad Gable because he saw him as the weakest of the SmackDown roster. So it's interesting to have him try to be involved again. Like especially knowing
they had like synergy to that, him coming back into it.
Yeah, but, so knowing that he had his ass so kicked by him earlier in the year, why would you then want to, get up in his business again? Like how much is the money? How much bucks could a Baron Corbin give if you wanted to get beat by Sheamus? It's supposed to be like a
I saw what you were trying to do there, and I applaud the effort.
Yeah.
Clearly, he's got dollars in his eyes, and he thought if he can sneak in, he can get away with it. But you don't want Sheamus mad at you. You really don't. He's back to his glowing best, and I refer to his entrance, which is when he walked out the ring, not his actual entrance. But that could well glow.
Hey,
I suppose,
who knows? If his outer body's white, imagine the hidden parts.
Oh dear God. If he mooned you, it'd be like an eclipse. Don't look directly into it.
But this is not going to go well for King Corbin. I don't see this. So later in the night, King Corbin, in fact, did have a match. He had it with... Where's my notes? That's a little bit down the notes here. He had a match with Jeff Hardy.
Jeff Hardy, yes, indeed. And that was an interesting flip around because Sheamus was not done.
Yeah, so of course Sheamus comes out, gets involved again. Brogue kicks to Hardy, causing a DQ. So Baron Corbin don't get no win.
Exactly. He didn't attack Baron Corbin. He was fine there. He was quite happy kicking the crap out of Jeff Hardy. Jeff Hardy. Oh my God. Not the most injured person we'll be talking about tonight, but yeah, he got fair clobbered.
Mm.
But it's basically to turn around and say, look. you're in my radar now. It was basically a way of saying I'm now watching you, and I think that could build to something very, very good because I love watching Corbin get his ass kicked.
Yeah, but
It's a special thrill of mine.
What was interesting here, so what began as Corbin versus Hardy then became Corbin versus Sheamus, sort of an impromptu match. So once that DQ was hit, they're like, all right, you two get a match. Let's sort this out.
Into a match. That's the thing. None of this, well, get you next time gadget. It was just after the next ad break, boom, they're into it.
Yeah, but then Matt Riddle comes in, causes a distraction. Now, the interesting thing here is, like, is this technically a DQ? Because he didn't touch anyone, he didn't get involved, he just sort of jumped off the top rope over Corbin and kind of like fucking scurried off. So technically it should be interference because he was in the ring, I guess, but he didn't touch anyone. Like we saw last week on Raw, just by having Bailey and stuff nearby, it caused a DQ by a fight in the sides.
Yeah, it's down to the
ref's discretion.
I guess. And basically at this time they went this way, and other times they enforced it a different way. But essentially, no harm was really done by it at this point, apart from just getting everybody madder at each other.
There is some harm, especially like Corbin's face. Corbin's face. So like. With this distraction, big old bro kick blows apart Baron Corbin. 1, 2, 3. There's your pin. So with there no direct DQ, Sheamus will still be able to get a win here. Which I guess I don't see this being the end of this personally. I think that's where it's going to go. However, I also see Riddle versus Corbin as the big end goal for this. Because
they don't just use Riddle to get them through. Riddle needs to be involved. He needs to get his run, and I don't think he'll let it go either.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. If we've seen anything from how Riddle handles himself on social media, how he presents himself like in the ring, he's got that cockiness, he's got that arrogance. He knows what he wants. He asks for it. He's like, I want a match with Goldberg. I want matches with Brock Lesnar. Not happening, but he wants them and he's confident about it. So if they're like, well, I want Baron Corbin, like he's put a bounty on my head, he's getting involved in my matches, this is bullshit. If I was them, I'd be like, yeah, sure, go for it.
Well, yeah.
Summerslam coming up in a week and a half, get it on, let's do it.
Apart from all of what's going on at the moment as well, that bounty's still there. So obviously he is still involved by proxy. And he's not a rookie. I mean, he's proved himself that he can fight. He can fight hard. So.
Yeah. And like there's a lot of frustration and anger here as we're seeing. Obviously, we saw Sheamus being shitty that he got an L. We're seeing Baron Corbin be shitty as well because he just got a DQ. So like, there's a lot of anger here, and like I think by Baron taking the bro kick to the face here, and essentially like rubbing salt in his already open wound. This is he's gonna force and push that frustration onto Riddle, with having Riddle be that level of that distraction into causing that outcome. I do want. Is this something that you want to see? Do you even want to see Riddle versus Corbin?
I want personally. I want to see Riddle versus Orton. That's what I'd like to see, but. I want to see Corbin get what's coming to him, and it's only fair that the object of this bounty is the person that gets the final say. So, yeah, absolutely, I want to see a resolution to that. He's already caused enough grief for Riddle as it is. Riddle deserves a shot at evening the score. So, yeah, absolutely. I don't know when, obviously, because this Sheamus is obviously dominating the headlights at the moment. And is obviously right front and center in Corbin's vision, but he's not going to forget about him. He's a fool if he does. Because,
is it? Speaking of getting given a shot, One of the other things we saw a bit of storyline around the tag team championships. We had Cesaro and Shinsuke Nakamura involved with the Lucha House Party, an exchange last week where they kind of like in their face. This week we saw Cesaro take on Lince Dorado. Kind of went as expected. Win to Cesaro. Okay.
Yeah, it was all right. I mean, Cesaro, you're never going to get a bad match with Cesaro. He always does a good match, and I've seen him with people who maybe weren't having their best match, and Cesaro lifted them. So yeah, it's always good to see what he does. But yeah, that's the other side of it. There was not much oomph to it.
And additionally as well, because the thing here, looking at this, is like, okay, well, Nakamura and Cesaro are already tag team champions. Lucha House Party are essentially like, if Lince was to get the win here, this could potentially open up them to the possibility of earning a title shot, right? Allow them to get back into that tag team title picture. But with them getting the L here, and then they got an L last week as well, like there's not much going on. You know what I mean? And like with what appears to be limited tag teams at SmackDown right now, especially with the likes of the New Day being currently split, as both Kofi and Xavier Woods are out due to injury.
Yeah, I mean, the good thing about New Day was even if one was out, you always had a tag team remaining. But now that two of them are down, Big E's launching on his singles run just to have a go and see how he can lift himself there. So. They are a bit thin on the ground for tag teams at the moment. I mean, they've got people who can tag together, but no dedicated teams. But I always feel it's a bit of a slap in the face of the tag teams when they introduce a contender who is just two wrestlers wrestling together rather than being a tag team. Maybe it's how I feel.
Well, it's one of those things. Like I understand your point. However. Both Cesaro and Nakamura have been together for a long while now. Like, what is that time limit that makes them okay to be a team? They have been part of the Artist Collective with Sami Zayn before he sort of had to relinquish his Continental Championship. He's currently stuck in Canada. For the better part of at least this year, maybe a little bit of back end of last year, they've been involved with one another. Like that's a pretty good stint. I think they deserve to be considered a team now.
Yeah, all right. Now I can see that longevity. Just everyone is new when they start. Of course, I mean. Cesaro and Sheamus, the Bar. They started off as two individuals, and then the Bar was quite a solid tag team for a while. So I suppose, if I think about it, I've always said that I have trouble with Nakamura. I don't get him. And maybe it's a Japanese thing. I don't watch a lot of Japanese wrestling, so I don't really know a lot about how that plays. So, and I know it's a different thing. It's a lot of story. It's a lot of character-driven stuff.
Yeah, I think not having watched a lot of New Japan, I think kind of puts that confusion around around Nakamura.
So maybe that's on me. Maybe I need to watch some more of that.
Yeah, because I presume in his with the strong style that he's I think created, that doesn't really kind of work with WWE. But like in NXT, apparently he was bitching at NXT, like he was awesome at NXT.
Okay.
But since I've been started rewatching, he has been main roster. So,
but back to what you said there before, definitely. I think it's been long enough that they would be considered a tag team now. I suppose. It's just I don't know. It's just a personal gripe with me. I guess it's something that's always bugged me when you get these great tag teams. Like I remember the days of Harlem Heat and the Steiner brothers. The big tag teams of the early days. Harlem Heat, of course, Booker T being one half of them.
2019 Hall of Famers.
Indeed, they were. And then you get the two people tagging together because both of them needed a push, sort of thing. I don't know.
But speaking of like personal issues within a tag team. Sonya Deville and Mandy Rose, as we saw last week, with Sonya brutalizing Mandy Rose going at her with a pair of scissors, getting all up in her business.
I got quite uncomfortable during that.
It's very uncomfortable to watch. Yeah. It's that like, oh, keep going. So we had an episode of Miz TV with Miz and Morrison. Hey, ho, ho. They were doing the Miz TV. They had an interview with Mandy Rose's hair, which is dumb, but I admit I laughed out loud.
I did laugh too. I must admit, it was unexpected, but they didn't just. They committed to the piece, and that was the best bit. They committed to the whole gag. They continued the interview.
I'm happy to watch something dumb if it gets me laughing. Yeah. Like, we'll get to something a bit dumb later that didn't make me laugh, but it's dumb. Where here, this is, I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm fucking in. This is beautiful. This is stupid.
That's what the E is in WWE, entertainment. Yeah. And the whole point is, as long as you're being entertained by what you're watching, it doesn't have to be wrestling.
Yeah.
As long as it's keeping you involved, keeping you entertained.
So at its essence, it was essentially a mop with googly eyes on it, which I know you're a big fan of googly eyes, Craig. I know you would have.
I have a packet of them sitting just to my immediate left here.
Yeah, so and then we had Miz and Morrison sort of pretending to be the voice of Mandy's hair, and there was also obviously a lot of hair jokes, which always made me chuckle because it's just I'm a big dork like that. But of course, this brewed up some issues, especially with having DeVille come out. So she goes once again on a rant about Mandy Rose. Sonya's really hung up here on Mandy. Like, this is getting uncomfortable length of time that she's, like, why are you so obsessed with me? Like, it's getting brutal. It's getting long.
It's getting to the maybe it's you stage.
It is almost there. It is almost there. But of course, Heavy Machinery came out to defend with Otis defending his peach. As we saw a bit of backstage as well later on, like, Otis is he's taking some steps away from that, his character's changed a little bit. He's a bit more well spoken, and he's still enthusiastic. He's still full of energy.
They've dialed the changes here down a little, and let his own personality come through.
What do you think of this decision, Craig?
I personally think it's good because it's giving him a chance to move out of the comedy role, as in like the sidekick sort of feel, and getting into some more serious storylines. And I like that. I mean, because there's some of the people that have shown this, and we'll talk about that in a bit too. Some people who their whole careers have been about comedy can turn around and make you feel feelings.
Yeah,
and everyone deserves a chance to be able to do that if they've got it in them. We've already seen how well Moxley does now when in his new environment. He's shining, and I like that. So yeah, I've got no problem with that at all because the character was funny, but it was a one-trick character. So let's introduce a little more dimension to him. Although speaking of dimensions, he was looking a little more svelte.
Well, that's the observation. We haven't seen him in a little bit, but one thing that both you and I noticed, he seems to, like, he's obviously still built, but he seems to last a little bit extra. He's trimmed down a smidge.
Just a little. Still wearing the midriff shirt, which that's his look.
He's got that like that proper weightlifter strength. He's like big burly torso.
Your core.
Steaks and weights. So look, I like where they're going here. What we're seeing is when, because up until now, Otis had been, he had been that sort of that laughing stock of the Heavy Machinery pairing. He wasn't really given, he was sort of put into these areas of weakness, right? Where he was essentially being bullied by the likes of, Miz and Morrison in the past, and just in general about him being heavy and all this sort of shit. Punchline. Yeah, he was a punchline. So it was really nice to see him here be confident and strong and powerful. So he had that moment. He's like, no, fuck this, fuck them. Like this, I'm not being that dude right now. Right now, I'm defending my partner, both my tag team partner and my peach.
And let's be honest, when they walked that line, that little kayfabe line, I know we're that's all part of it. When they tread that line well, that's when it works the best. That's when the stories are most engaging.
Yeah, it's like, well, like all right, cool. Like he is taking this shit serious. He is getting on the right side here. He's like, I'm not time fucking around. This is personal. Like he said, poor Mandy. Mandy's been fucked up. You know what I mean? So like later on, they do have a match: Heavy Machinery versus Miz and Morrison. Hey ho ho. I feel obligated to say it. But of course that did get, so Mandy does get involved because Sonya is ringside. And while Heavy Machinery hold Mandy back, that does allow the ref to count a count out. Then the win goes to Miz and Morrison.
Now
there's something that happens after this, but we'll get back to that in a little bit.
Just as a quick aside, I'm also loving the pairing of Miz and Morrison. Who knew they would work so well together? Morrison, I always thought, for me, was ancient history, but then he's come bursting back into it. He looks as good as ever, and he just fitted so well with the Miz. I'm loving how that's going.
Well, yeah. So them being a pairing from a while back, it's kind of nice to sort of have them come back and still be strong and still be connections. So especially with John Morrison heading off and doing Impact for a while and Lucha Underground and sort of having some time away, it's very cool to sort of have him return and still have that same dynamic. It's almost as like they never left, which is nice.
Yeah, he has. He's slotted right back in. It's beautiful. It's nice to see a wrestler from the old days come back and just say, hey, I can still do it. Zack Ryder, for example.
Yeah. So to add to that, because you talk about the line between sort of comedy and legitimacy, we did see the Big E have a promo out the back with Charlie, I think it was, and it was awesome. I'm really liking where they're going with this.
If you could somehow figure out a way to bottle that promo, it'd be the most potent energy drink you could ever have. It was just emotion. I just, at the end of it, I was almost cheering, just going, yes, Biggie, yes, you can do it, yes. I was so excited because for him, although he's so amazingly over the top, it's still genuine. It's still believable.
It's like, it was grounded. It was real. Like it was. I believed every word he said. So Jem and I are already doubling down on the idea of a Big E push. We want to see him with at least the IC title as soon as possible by the end of the year.
Pop would be as big, if not bigger, than Kofi.
Yeah, that would be the thing, because one of the big things that we saw with Kofi Mania last year and the success that came from that with the New Day and demonstrating that they can be, the 8-time champs as well as a singles competitor with Kofi. I really like it. I think right now it makes more sense for them to be involved in the mid-card the mid-card area, especially with AJ Styles holding the belt right now. He's kind of not doing a whole lot, so I think Big E versus AJ Styles would be awesome, at least from a babyface to a heel angle. I like that a lot, because even though I think Big E would look fantastic with that nice blue Universal Championship strapped across his big burly shoulders, that's not happening anytime soon, because that title is still currently in a little bit of a bout with Bray Wyatt and Braun Strowman. So Braun Strowman is still yet to be seen in person. It's believed that he may be in fact drowning and dead in the swamp. That was until we saw Bray Wyatt bring out Alexa Bliss into the ring. He had the lantern with him this time, which is something we've never seen outside of pay-per-views, which is amazing. This is very, very cool. So here he's attempting to almost do the mandible claw as he did last week. But, Alexa's like, I don't give you consent, bro. Don't do it. And he's like, all right, that's fine. That's cool.
I do not want you touching me at this time.
Yeah, he's like, that's fine, bro. I understand, Alexa. This is the time of consent. And then we hear Braun Strowman over the speaker, essentially saying that, hey, I was going to come out of this swamp fight in either two ways. Either, I've defeated you, I've removed the Fiend, or I'm going to come back to the most evil son of a bitch you've ever seen. And he's like, well, you're still standing in that ring trying to choke out a woman. I guess I'm the most evil son of a bitch. Which is interesting because, like, we're going to... what we're delivering here, we're seeing an angry side to Braun Strowman. Because one of the things he mentioned, he's like, I don't give a shit about Alexa Bliss. Do what you want to her. You're trying to play at my heartstrings. You're trying to pull me in, but it's not working. I don't care. And this caught you off guard. So I remember you saying literally out loud, then why is she here?
Yeah, admittedly, I thought it was confusing me because it was like the moment that Braun Strowman appeared, it was like, all right, she's done, and we'll just move on. She was never referred to again, apart from that passing comment he made. I don't even know if we saw her in the ring again after that.
I don't think so. She might have just scurried off, Might be a good decision.
Again, it was like this time round, it was like she was out there with the Fiend rather than being dragged out by them.
Well, that's a good point because, so what do we assume happened within the last week?
I got very confused. I was not sure what they were trying to say her involvement was or is, or is she under control? It wasn't clear.
I agree with that too. So the presumption that I had to make in order to fit the logic internally was that Bray Wyatt, the Fiend, was like, I'm going to hit him where it hurts. I'm going to hit him in his emotions. This is where his weakness here is the connection to Alexa Bliss. So he's like, that's why I attacked her last week. That's why I'm attempting to attack her this week. So that's why I've brought her here to be like, hey, dude, I've still got her. She's still in my control. What are you going to do? And by him essentially saying, I don't care, he's like, well, fuck, that was my only card.
Yeah, I get that because that's the whole put him on the back seat. But and again, I know I'm nitpicking, but it's just her reaction. She didn't appear fearful of the Fiend this time around.
That's true, and I do wonder whether that's going to play a role into this. So her reaction,
if they play that out, and if they come back to that, all well and good. I'm happy. I'm obviously hooked because I'm still obsessing about it.
Yeah. So her reaction, was it took place after, before Braun Strowman came out and made his grand gesture and statement that he don't give a shit, but. Like, if it was post, I'd be like, well, you're not going to hurt me, so why? I'm just going to push you away. Because I know what your motivations are here. Your motivations aren't to hurt me. Your motivations are here to hurt Braun Strowman. Yeah. And with him not caring, cool.
We'll see,
do you think that we're going to see, some potential long work here? Because we know that because Braun essentially says, I see you at SummerSlam. We're going to get Fiend versus Braun Strowman. Do you think we're going to have Alexa be involved in some way and maybe do some shonky stuff to SummerSlam?
Well, maybe. I mean, the main concern I have is they do have a history of just dropping stories cold and angles cold. And the Alexa one can work because, she's obviously talented. She does her own bit. She does it well. And she could be great. But at the moment, it's not clear what her role is. Now, if that's all resolved in the future, well and good. Kudos to the WWE because they've kept me interested. And that's all we've ever asked. But you want that thing at the end to make you go, shit, I better tune in next week. I want to see what happens.
Well, to transition, they've attempted to do that this week. They attempted to end the show with something make you go, I want to watch next week. But you know what? That's not what happened. What we saw here after alluding to last week with flickering lights and, what's that? It's some guy's firebombing a transformer. Retribution, because if you didn't know who they are, Michael Cole was like, oh my God, they have weapons. Is that Retribution? Fuck you, Michael Cole.
They almost had to turn on the echo as he said it. Retribution?
Yeah, so they come in being like, your reject shop version of Clockwork Orange. They come in, hitting shit with bats, getting up in the face of the cameraman and then helping them very kindly put the camera down and then chase him away. Then we...
It was very polite, a polite throw to the floor, wasn't it?
Yeah, and then they chase out Cole and Graves. We see them go around and get, break social distancing and get all up in the up and coming NXT superstar and the Performance Center staff around. We see a man get jacked up. We see a woman get jacked up. But the woman getting jacked up, we see it she in fact herself was attacked by a woman because they took their hood off. You saw all the lady hair. They attacked the woman, then they put their hood back on. Be like, oh, you didn't see nothing, and then went back to
professional wrestling term there, by the way.
yeah, lady hair. It is different.
It is very different.
But it did end with them getting in the ring and just like hitting the ground, and then we see a chainsaw go through the ring ropes for some reason.
Can I say some of the most polite chainsawing I've ever seen?
Yeah.
He gets up here, he's going, raw, I've got it. And he goes,
Rah! Yeah. Ah! And then they also
actual cutting, very careful, OH&S, right back.
Yeah, and then they also got some spray paint and then proceeded to like cross out SmackDown, put the WWE symbol on the PopC, cross her out, and you can tell they've never used spray paint before in their entire lives.
Can I say, as a former hoodlum, they're very unimpressed with their graffitiing skills. They've never tagged in their life, those boys.
See, from what I'm seeing here, is they are attempting to sort of do some sort of Nexus sort of feel, right?
It absolutely has a Nexus feel, but
however,
and an NWO
what I'm feeling is a bunch of 11-year-olds like trying to be cool.
What I'm feeling is anonymous. As an anonymous, but the side of it that is 11-year-olds in front of their computers.
Yeah, like because they're coming out and they're trying to be all tough and like, but then like aside from flipping a car,
basket.
Yeah, aside from flipping, you know, like they get in there and they flip the announcer's table as if someone doesn't fucking go through that every week. You know, they're like, oh, no one saw this coming. You know,
tear open a new seal and pull out a new desk.
Yeah, it's pretty much like that. Yeah, like they grab someone's letters and went, ah! Like it's such minimal level of vandalism. It's actually really embarrassing. Like, unless we see some good names come out of this is incredibly disappointing. Because, like, if, you know, it's even then, like, say, best case scenario, right? It's not going to happen because these names have some way better things to do. And because they're all little, like, they're all, you know, notice they're all short, like, we're menacing, but none of us are bigger than the third rope. Like, you know, they take their hoods off and we see, let's say, because Chelsea Green's very likely to be involved. Let's just throw some other people in there. We see Dakota Kai, Ciampa, Johnny Gargano. If we see that, no, I just pulled names out of my arsehole, right? It's a bunch of NXT guys that could benefit from it.
Yeah.
That would be incredibly disappointing because we've seen what Gargano and Ciampa can do. We've seen their level of destruction and disregard for one another, for people, for buildings, everything. And then we see him being like, yeah, I mean, like it's gonna be like whatever happens, this reveal will be incredibly disappointing. I don't see there being any way that Retribution can even be remotely pay off.
I did hear one way, reading some comments on the interwebs after all the discussion of the show went down. And one intriguing one, which I really don't think will ever be picked up, would be for them to combine this with one of those drop storylines I was talking about before. And that's to make the Retribution as minions to the Hacker and bring the Hacker back.
Okay, but like the other interesting thing here, the Hacker, from all accounts previously, was Mustafa Ali, and he's on Raw now. So unless they randomly throw a curveball on terms of all the imagery that came with the Hacker and what the Hacker was supposed to be and represent, you know, I'm open to that. I think that's a great way to sort of bring that back in. But yeah, now it feels like a bunch of teenagers.
We're picking up the torch and holding and taking it forward.
Yeah. Like there were some minor things that I think would have been really cool. I don't know how they would have done it, but I would have loved it, right? Chainsaw, they just straight up chainsaw the ropes. None of this ping, 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 ping. Pardon me. Same effect. They go hard, the ropes whip, it would look cool. You can do that safely. Then they just they spray paint the ropes and then they just turn the chainsaw on, stick it in the middle of the ring and walk away.
Yeah.
Not just place it down nicely and leave. Like the sword in the stone right in the middle of the ring. That would have instantly looked a little bit cooler. It would have, if they wanted destruction, they could have done that. They could have destroyed everything, but they didn't.
Exactly.
And look, every motherfucker is going to make these predictions, right?
Yeah.
If they are trying to go for a semi-Nexus vibe, and we know that CM Punk
Ooh.
is no longer doing backstage because that show's done and dusky.
Oh, that went well, didn't it?
And mate, well, they've got this extra money.
They do.
Do you think? Because we hear this conversation like every couple of days on the interweb. Maybe CM Punk can return. Do you think that what if he's in charge of the Retribution?
That.
What if he was like? Because that was the rumor mill that he was the hacker.
Oh, the rumor mill.
Because you remember, like the hacker was all about revealing truth, right?
True.
And what is CM Punk's biggest claim to fame? And that is the pipe bomb, where he sat down and spoke a bunch of truth.
That's true. I remember when he did his whole walk off and return back in God, it's a few years ago now.
Yeah, a long time ago.
He dropped his first pipe bomb, and I remember at the time it was all about honesty and truth and walking that kayfabe line, as I said before. But Dan, I don't think we'll ever see CM Punk back in the wrestling.
Me either. I'm just spitballing for funsies.
But God, maybe he'd come back for a managerial role or a bit of a, because he came back to talk about wrestling. It's not that much of a leap to see him being on the show, not wrestling, but having his own stable.
Yeah.
Can you imagine the minions of CM Punk?
I think that would be. Like I said, I don't see it happening, but I like the idea of it.
Yeah.
Anyways, that's pretty much everything that happened on SmackDown. SmackDown was pretty quiet this week. Not a whole lot. A lot of shonky DQ finishes. A lot of establishing storylines here, building some things up to SummerSlam. It was fine. But once again, I wasn't left super happy. It's a bar from me.
Potential, but I've been hurt before. So, I'd have to say about the same. It was okay, but it was nothing special, so I'll give that a bar myself.
Yeah.
There you go. Sideways Kurt Angle.
It's Kurt lying down.
Yeah. He was about to get up, but he thought he'd have another 5 minutes.
So, it's Kurt Angle, but it's more of an acute angle. It's not like a right angle.
See what you did
there.
there.
That's right. He is a cute angle. That damn cute angle. Let us know what you thought of this week's episode of SmackDown. Let us know comments below, social medias, etc. Moving on to Raw. Now, Raw kicked off with something awesome here, Craig. We saw Dominic Mysterio come out and officially sign his contract for not just his match at SummerSlam against Seth Rollins. He signed his contract to officially become a WWE superstar.
Indeed, he did. He's now officially WWE on the roster, and he had a bit of a trial of fire.
Yeah, so what became is, just sort of, he comes out and his music is a slight remix, like they've sampled the POD 619, like it has that Rey Mysterio feel, but also with like its own sort of unique punch to it. I personally, I was moved.
Yep. Oh, obviously Mexican wrestling and luchadors is all about the history, and if he came in and didn't have a reference to his dad in the music, then I'd be very surprised. So,
granted, the graphic was pretty simple. It was just Dominic Mysterio on green, and I think that'll come in time.
There'll be a big reveal on the match.
So come SummerSlam, I think they'll have a nice big Titantron for him, which would be cool. But yeah, so essentially, they sign the contract. As it does, shit goes crazy. Seth Rollins essentially says, "You know what? Dom comes out with a kendo stick in order to defend himself." In case of anything happening, Seth Rollins is like, you know what, mate? Fuck it. Bring that stick with you to the match. Bring any weapon you want. I don't give a shit. Let's do it. So it looks as if we're getting a no holds barred sort of setup with Dominic here.
Pretty much the Dolph Ziggler stipulation, you might call it.
A little bit, yeah.
Let's call that the Ziggler maneuver.
So I'm open to that. I think it's a good way, but. Because, if it does happen to turn badly, which it did, we can now learn that Dominic Mysterio can take a kick, like a big sweet beating with some kendo sticks. Craig, explain what went down.
Well, for those slightly squeamish, perhaps look away at the moment. Because it started off, I did notice a little nick in his shirt, and I thought, if they're not careful, that's going to get torn off, and I was right. The shirt was ripped off by Murphy. He was strung up in the ropes, and they then took turns in beating the living shit out of him with kendo sticks. And I don't care what you say about kendo saying it's bamboo, it bends, it absorbs the force, blah, blah, blah. When they dragged him out of that ring, the welts on his body, he looked like he'd been hit with a cat of nine tails. And some photos that surfaced afterwards that they tweeted out after the match, it looked like the sort of thing the policeman takes when they're doing their report. It was just incredible, the bruises on this boy. And I saw some of the shots in slow motion, and you see this kendo stick wrap around him, and he's just, it's rippling out from him along his, it's not going to kill him, but by fuck, it must have hurt. There's no way to fake that. And he took it like a champion. He took it, well, he yelled and screamed.
I would have. Holy crap. Yeah. Actually, I wouldn't even been in that position.
No, I'm going to hit you with kendo stick. You know what? I'm done.
So, nah, I'm cool.
Nah, I'm good.
Yeah, and he's like, join the Monday Night Messiah, or I'll hit you with a stick. I'm like, you know what, Messiah, you seem pretty sweet.
I take the 0.
Like, I'm just going to join you, guy, man. Are you gonna? If I join you, will you hit me with a stick? No. Sweet. Guess what? I'm part of the Monday Night Messiah's group now. I'm a disciple. Bring it, go me.
You crumble is what you say.
Oh yeah, I'm pissed. I'm piss weak. So is this something you want to see? Are you remotely interested / excited for Dominic Mysterio versus Seth Rollins at SummerSlam?
I am, and it's because they've built the story well. Say what you will about the whole graphicness of the eye during the
horror show at Extreme Rules.
Horror show at Extreme Rules, the little pop-out eyeball. It was effective. I have my own problems with the whole eye trying to maim your opponent, being a stipulation in an official match rule. But I also watched wrestling in the 90s, so I've seen weirder.
Mm-hmm.
It's much weirder. And ultimately it was handled well. We said at the time, I think. When Seth Rollins' reaction to it, when he did pop the eye out and then had that visceral threw up over in the corner, it took some of the ridiculousness out of it for me. That, if anything, that made it realer. But to bring it back to what you said, all of that building up, and with Dominic coming along with him the whole time, and slowly building up this momentum to now, because it has been a long burn for a while. When did Dominic first appear?
Dominic's been around a little while, because there has been even prior to this feud that Ray had with Seth, he was, Rey Mysterio was always looking at retiring, and then of course Dominic's always appearing, being like, "Don't retire, Dad, I love you," and like Dominic's been around for a little while, and it's cool to finally have him on board with WWE. The one thing I find interesting though is, pardon?
Do you think they were always leading to this, or they were just testing?
Yeah. I think he's long been ready, or at least the plans are to have him lined up and come into the fold. It is interesting that by the looks of it, he may circumvent NXT, which is an interesting decision. They obviously believe that
at least for the match.
Yeah,
but after the match is my theory.
Yeah, they believe that he can pull at least. Like they think he has at least enough. Pulling power to be involved in a pretty, up there main superstar, right? Like previously the face of the company after he, when he took out Brock Lesnar last year. That's a big way. So if your first ever match at WWE is against Seth Rollins, that's pretty massive. I'd take that. Take that.
That's not a bad tick on the resume.
Yeah.
And look at it in best case, worst case. Best case scenario, the pop is enormous, and Dominic goes on to be an amazing face for them, and gets the pull. Worst case scenario, we have a good match, because Seth Rollins always does put on a good match.
Most of the time, yeah.
And then we end up with a Mysterio climbing the ranks in the NXT, which would still be awesome. So if they're going to commit to him, if worst case he goes to NXT afterwards, I don't think there's any problem with that. He's had his big explosion. Boom! Here I am, and now he's gonna put in the hard yards. Yeah, I have no problem with that at all, and I am quite keenly looking forward to that match.
Very much so. Oh, we should also mention that Rollins did have a match with Humberto Carrillo, but he got decked pretty quickly, and that's what
That was over in about 8 to 10 seconds.
Oh, well, it was pretty piss poor, actually. Speaking of pretty piss poor, we saw Apollo Crews and Shelton Benjamin have a match here. Not for the IC title. It's just continuing Apollo Crews' beef with MVP. The big point of contention here is that we've come to learn that MVP is having a rematch against Apollo Crews for the United States Championship at SummerSlam. Because upon the end of the match, Bobby Lashley attempts to get a Crews into the full Nelson, but MVP's like, nah, I need him healthy, I need him well, because when I take, with their original scheduled match at Extreme Rules, but Apollo Crews unable to be involved due to injury from Bobby Lashley's full Nelson. They weren't able to line it up here. I didn't want to see it then, and I don't want to see it at SummerSlam. I'm not in. I'd much rather see Bobby Lashley versus Apollo Crews for that title.
Yeah, I mean, MVP, I'm happy he's back. He talks a good talk and he makes a great stable leader, but he shouldn't be the one wrestling. He really shouldn't. He's got his stable, then he's got Shelton Benjamin and Bobby Lashley, who, for all my jokes about Bobby Lashley's sort of wooden appearance, is a damn fine wrestler. MVP isn't the one who should be having this match.
I know, because adding to that, right? So, although they didn't get the match at Extreme Rules, once Apollo Crews came back, he had a match last week against MVP and won.
Yeah.
So he's technically still champion. We got the match here against Shelton Benjamin, part of the Hurt Business. Crews won. On what fucking grounds does MVP have the ability to claim a rematch here?
Yeah, there's certainly no champions rematch because he never won the title. He just claimed it because he didn't have the match. So he didn't win anything. There was no champion's advantage to worry about.
Yeah, the only thing that we would have here is if in the coming episode of Raw is that we get a match, Bobby Lashley versus Crews. But even then, I already don't give a fuck about this feud, even a little bit. So I don't know what by adding Lashley involved, because and then say Lashley wins next week, then he gets a shot at SummerSlam. But if Lashley gets a shot against Crews next week, and then he loses, I refuse to see there be any reason why MVP needs a rematch.
Yeah, I've already beaten all three of you. Why do I need to give you another shot?
Exactly. Exactly.
So yeah, well, what would you see a Crews doing at the moment? What would be a better fit for him?
I don't know. There's nothing else. But then again, I'm not invested in him as a character either. I enjoyed his feud with Andrade because I still think Andrade should be in that mid-card title picture. Actually, I think Andrade should be in the main title picture. But right now, they're going elsewhere, which we'll get to a little bit later. But until then, I think he should still he should still be involved. He's in his side story, and that's cool. Which we'll get to that now. But I don't really give two poos about Crews. If anything, it's making the United States Championship even less relevant to me. Speaking of Andrade, though, currently he and the other couple of a crew in Zelina's Boys with the Z, they're currently in a bit of beef now with the Street Profits and Bianca Belair after Montez Ford was allegedly poisoned last week at the hands of Zelina's Boys.
Not happy.
I understand Bianca Belair pissy. She even beat the living piss out of Zelina Vega in a live stream, which I laughed so hard. It's such a great idea. But so we saw we had Angelo Dawkins take on a match. He had a match against Andrade, which Andrade took the L, man.
He did.
I'm not feeling it. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going on. But Andrade was something. He's very quickly becoming nothing. Now, granted, he did get the L. He did get the L from a distraction with Bianca Belair attacking Zelina Vega after her attempted distraction, which allowed Dawkins to hit the cash out and get the free count and the 3 count, which is what the hell, Andrade, man? Like, you were such a force.
He
You had
was.
such a string of wins.
It's like they say, like, you've got one shot. Oh, well, we'll put you at the back again until we need you. Their momentum was there. They could have rekindled that flame easily, but
You're saying that though, both Angel Garza and Andrade do have that championship match for the Raw Tag Teams title at SummerSlam. So like, we will get to see them, and maybe it could change hands at this point. But I kind of don't see that being the case, because we're going to, I presume with Zelina being ringside, we're going to have Belair ringside as well. And she was ringside here as well, as we mentioned, which then transitioned into a match between Zelina Vega and Belair. We don't see Vega in the ring too often. Very welcome surprise by me. I thought it was great. Belair is brilliant. When I saw her at NXT, I didn't quite get it until I saw her at the Rumble this year. And I'm like, nope. The EST is something that I need to focus on, and she was fucking brilliant. So
yeah.
2 wins to the Street Profits here in Street Profits and Co. It's
it's I must admit, I don't have much of a dog in this fight either.
Big question though. Do you think that Zelina and her boys did in fact drug Montez Ford?
They haven't really given us much to go on that it could be someone else.
Exactly.
But
and it's one of those things. Sorry, go ahead.
Well, she did throughout the entire match, kept saying it wasn't me, even right at the end when, you think that she had the advantage, she could have started to gloat. Yes, it was me, sort of thing. But no, even when she had the advantage, it wasn't me. So she's been adamant the whole time. So I don't know.
But then on top of that, like, who else? Who else benefits this, right? Unless it's like the AOP, and they want those titles to sort of return to be part of Seth Rollins and his disciples. But like, the Viking Raiders aren't going to do it.
Well,
I mean, they're bros. Why would they do it? They're like, there's not enough other teams involved in Raw right now to make any other accusation worthwhile.
I mean, unless it's AOP, but will it be?
Well,
who else is there?
It's the only ones I can think of that are a Healy sort of faction.
Yeah, it's
and it's not a connection to Retribution, because Retribution aren't that. The way they're selling them, they're going from minor petty vandalism to fucking attempted murder. Like, I don't see it being Retribution. Like, it has to be another team, and likely potentially like AOP or some sort of heel faction.
But there's been no. Usually they try and drop a hint or two. But there's been nothing. But fair enough. Maybe this is their thinking long term, and if they are, then more power to them. We've been saying even way before this whole lockdown and thing happened, that they were always afraid to commit to a long-term storyline, the slow burn. And maybe they're learning that this can work now. They've had a few stories that have drawn out a bit. They've got to get it right eventually. I mean, AEW is leading the way. They know when to make it short-term and make it short and punchy, and when to draw it out and make it a longer story. Yeah. Although they haven't fired any writers for a while, which is a nice sign.
Bruce Pritchard running both and SmackDown and Raw, it's not looking well. But things are not looking well, because as we mentioned the Viking Raiders a moment ago, they in fact did play a role in this week's episode of Raw. They had a match against Akira Tozawa and his ninjas, fighting alongside Ricochet and Cedric Alexander.
Love a good Irish wrestler.
Yeah. So in short, we had Viking Raiders and Cedric Alexander in the corner. Ricochet's like, nah, I got this, bro. Proceeds to crane kick one of the ninjas in the face. Just karate kid style.
Literally everything from Danny LaRusso. He's done the thing and nailed it too. He's absolutely nailed that crane kick. But what I saw here was the Viking Raiders and two other equally good wrestlers that could excel in tag or single on one side and the comic relief on the other. I couldn't see the point they were trying to make out of this, except that for the vehicle it turned out to be, when one of the ninjas turned out to be R-Truth.
Yeah, so with Tozawa essentially being like, fuck this noise, and just bailing, he tries to escape. Ninja comes up, sneaky roll up, R-Truth, 38th time, 24/7 champion.
24th, yeah.
What an absolute shit show. Absolute shit show. I couldn't care for any of this. I don't understand why. It's similar to yourself. Like, if I am the backstage person...
all they wanted to do. They didn't need the 4 wrestlers they had there to do this. They could have had anyone else there to set this up, and they could have had the Viking Raiders versus Ricochet. Just as an exhibition match, to set something up, to try it out, to see how the crowd likes it. Or the viewers like it. It was Ricochet and... Christ, I've gone blank.
Cedric.
Who was the other one?
Cedric Alexander.
Cedric Alexander. Imagine those two, just those two there as a tag team.
Well, they have been a tag team, but I
didn't see the whole point of this match at all.
Speaking of tag teams, though, we did see the newly reformed Riot Squad. Liv Morgan, alongside Ruby Riott, did have a match against Peyton Royce, who had
a rocking start to the reunion, though.
Yeah, who had Billie Kay alongside her as well.
Nice to see the Iconics out there.
Iconics! Glad to see them. So, of course, the Iconics have made fun of the Riot Squad on their way to the ring, which, love them. But, as you said, it was an upset to the return with Peyton getting a win over Morgan by pinfall.
And coming about via an inverted distraction from Ruby Riott.
Yeah.
Who was trying to, in her defense, she was trying to counter a distraction from Billie Kay. So, but she was the one that ended up in the ring causing the distraction. So, yeah, trying to do the right thing. Unfortunately, could end up costing the match, and tensions flared.
Yeah, it wasn't good. Was not good. It's interesting, like, because we've seen this bit of to and fro with the newly reformed Riot Squad and the Iconics. It's been a bit of an on and off again sort of thing. It's just it's interesting. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just, it didn't. Yeah, for the attempted return of a faction, of a pairing, of a tag team, bad news bears. Bad news bears all around.
Yeah, so, yeah, to start off with, the first half of Raw was very much a lot of, what? Or why are they doing this? As much as the wrestling itself that happened was good.
To be wild,
it's good. But, yeah, there was a lot of, I don't understand, and a lot of taking us out of the story as well, which wasn't happening, which doesn't help. But, that was just the first half. Things changed a little as the evening progressed.
Yeah, so we saw Bayley, the SmackDown Women's Championship, have a match against Asuka. My headphones are all fucking tangled under my chair. Please explain what went down.
Right, well, it's this wrestling match, right? All right, no, it was Asuka, one of my favorites. I love watching her. I love her energy. I love everything about what she does. Coming out to basically earn her shot at the title, and come out swinging. Obviously, coming out with revenge on her mind as well for the loss of my favorite little Sky Pirate, Kairi Sane.
Yeah, so as you mentioned, the stipulation here was that if Asuka was to get a win here, she would be allowed to have a title shot against Sasha Banks at SummerSlam for that Raw Women's Championship. And the win here did go to Asuka. Bayley was tapped out.
Yep, he got put right in the Asuka lock. Bayley was taking the piss at one point, mocking Kairi Sane's old shtick in the ring, doing the pirate stance and all that sort of stuff. And that's when Oscar basically said, right, well, I've had enough of this crap, and went straight into the Oscar lock. Boom. Bailey tapped out in about 2 seconds.
Yeah, so it's interesting. Bailey put a lot of focus on the legs of Asuka, sort of like trying to like bring it down, I guess, a little bit, which is an interesting decision when the Asuka lock doesn't really, one of the key moves from Asuka isn't leg involved. I mean, it's a weird sort of setup, but yeah, in short, it was. Bailey's had a pretty good run, as we know, as SmackDown champion. She had a lot of wins up her sleeve. And this is one of the first losses she's had in a while, or at least a clean loss. But it's a weird thing. It was like she had nothing at stake here apart from if she lost, cool. Asuka has to fight Banks, not her.
Yeah, exactly. She had no dog in this fight.
Yeah,
either.
She got thrown under the bus already. Unless there is some minor retribution from Banks. Around tapping out, because that wasn't.
That could be setting up to something. Because we'll see what happens once the triple brand Royal Rumble for the number one contender for Bailey's title still has to happen. It would be interesting to see what Sasha does during that. Maybe they'll play it that way. I don't know, but actually, what would be really weird if Sasha was in that.
But anyway, So this is leading to that. We are gonna get that at that match at SummerSlam. Let's lay them predictions down now. Mo, what do you reckon? How do you see this going? Do you think Asuka can take it back?
I don't think she'll take it back this time. Because, to be perfectly frank, the Bailey and Sasha Banks thing is just working too well at the moment. They work so well together as dual bad guys. As their promos are on point. They do play the heels well. Mm-hmm. I'm quite enjoying that. So, if there's all right, this is what I would like to happen. It's maybe not what I think will happen. This is what I would like to happen. I don't think Oscar should win at this point. But then that would build to what's after the SummerSlam? What's the next big one?
There's Payback the week after.
The week after.
Yeah, they're trying to do one of those small, like kind of like AEW, like the two pay-per-views near near each other.
Can you see that something happening in her not winning against Sasha?
Let's see, August, September. So SummerSlam in August. Yeah. I'm trying to think. We've got Survivor Series in November. Hell in a Cell in October. Ooh. Tables, Ladders, and Chairs in December. I'm gonna have to Google this. I need to know.
Yeah, but I can see the smart thing would be to have Asuka not win, but then get a rematch for some reason, and then come back. However, I think it's entirely likely Asuka might take the title. It's hard to say what I want to happen.
Yeah, so we've got SummerSlam on the 23rd, Payback on the 30th, then Clash of Champions on the 20th of September. So it'll be Clash of Champions afterwards.
Clash of Champions, where every title's on the line, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the big stick. Yeah, and then
Survivor Series. Wouldn't it make sense to clear out a bit of the clutter at the moment, because you've got the women's tag team and both titles with two.
Well, yeah, because like are they going to be pulling triple? Each of them going to be pulling double duty. Like that's their thing. Yeah.
Or personally, to have Bailey and Sasha lose the titles, keep the tag title, and keep that going.
Yeah, so Sasha has been looking super strong right now, as has Bailey. Bailey takes an L, took a loss here, which is fine, reasonable. As we said, she had no horse in this fight. She could take this and would not be a major concern. However, Banks has a notorious record of not winning at pay-per-views. She didn't even win this championship at pay-per-view. She won it at the Raw after.
That's true.
And Asuka is looking mint right now. And because I personally want to see Asuka versus Shayna Baszler for that title.
She looks like she's been eating mint with all that green juice.
Yeah, that's what I want to see. And I think, because the the expectation around this Sasha Banks Bailey storyline would be that that Bailey would be the one to cause the crumble between the two and be the one to break down their friendship, right? That's what the presumption was. The presumption has always been that Sasha is the stronger of the two. What if right now, as the golden role models, they have all the belts, they're looking good, but and in theory, Bailey would be the one to lose it from previous storylines. But here,
I didn't get that. I didn't get that Sasha would be the more powerful of the two. I always thought it was Bailey.
Yeah, no, there's sort of really been that focus on Bailey being the weaker of the quote unquote weaker of the two. The less limelight sort of one. So I would love it if Sasha loses it and that leaves Bailey going, the fuck. You had it for 2 weeks. I've had this for over a year.
Yeah, that could be.
And they call you the blueprint. They call you, the boss.
That's interesting, actually. Yeah.
That's how I see that. And then, of course, we have to see Asuka versus Baszler at presumably Clash, and I'm in. I'm super in. And that begins and that would begin the crumble of them as a pairing again.
Well, then, would you have Bailey hang on to hers for now then?
Oh, shit, yeah. I want Bailey to have it forever. I said, we discussed this the other week, and it wasn't until speaking with good friend of the show, Josh Robinson, where he really swung me around on Bailey and some of the changes in her character. Because we were having a discussion, like, I miss Hugger Bailey. And you're like, do you though? Because let's lay down some stuff. And I'm like, huh. And then I went back and I had a look and I looked at some old Bailey stuff. I'm like, old Bailey was cool, but I'm kind of liking this Bailey right now. Like, she's strong, she's confident, she's committed. Like, we're getting some awesome awesome promo work in just terms of like, it's very similar to like Jericho. When it's like, you big idiot, just always.
Yeah, she is.
And I'm really enjoying it. Like, having her own commentary is great. Like, she's feeling confident. She's got a lot of energy to her. I think this is way better than Hugger Bailey, personally.
I miss Hugger Bailey too, but that's not to the detriment of the current Bailey. Current Bailey is awesome. As I said before, I'm loving her promo work at the moment. Her mic work is probably some of the best she's done. Hugger Bailey was all well and good, but that was all happy and light. You get it. That's the best thing about playing the villain. You get the best line. That's often been a trope in the movie industry too. Everyone wants to play the villain because they get the best dialogue. So I can see Oscar winning and going on her bit. Then I can see absolutely Bailey coming back and saying, "Okay, well, why are you the blueprint when I've had it for? Is it the longest run?
The longest running SmackDown Women's Champion.
It is the longest, yeah. So, but they're on separate shows, so that can't turn into a rivalry between the two of them, although that could be interesting. To have it implode and then have Sasha going after Bailey.
Potentially.
But that really can't happen at the moment with the shows they're on.
Well, I don't know where they live. But once again, as with the tag titles in the mix, they can kind of go wherever they want. So, yeah, what if it does crackle and then at Clash of Champions, we see Bailey versus Sasha?
I'd watch that.
SmackDown Women's Championship. I'm down for that. Let's jump into something else. So Raw Underground, as we discussed last week, appears to be this sort of back room, no holds barred, work MMA sort of setup, right? So we're seeing a lot of hard hitting, big kicking, punching, bussing, dick grabbing as well. Apparently, there's a lot happening in this back room here. We see. Was it sorry?
He had quite the handful.
He did. So we saw the likes of Riddick Moss getting a big bout with Carl Bloom. So they sort of spilled out into outside of the ring, kicked the living shit out of him, and just knocking him clean out with a bunch of kicks. We saw Dabba-Kato return from his big punch out last week. Just getting some random dude, kicks the living shit out of him, grabs his dick, and then punches him in the face, causing Shane McMahon to quickly call for the bell if this guy's dead from penis damage. Next up, Shayna Baszler comes in. She actually comes in to take on Dabba-Kato, and he's like, nah. Shane Todd like kind of pushed him back. No women were willing to make their way in the ring, so she's like, "Fuck this noise!" Jumps out and just starts messing women, just kicking their asses, and then brings them into the ring. One of them tries to put a clutch on Baszler, which makes no sense because she then proceeds to throw her and just fucking choke her out. How are you looking? How are you looking at this right now with Raw Underground? What do you think this is going?
I'm not quite sure what they want to do with Raw Underground. As it is at the moment, it's kind of like, here's a reason to watch for the third hour because we're going to do something that's really explosive or big or huge or really exciting sort of thing. So, yeah, initially, it's obviously like when they... Remember the stripped-down version of Raw they tried to do a few...
Yeah, with Mick Foley, yeah.
Mick Foley and the stripped down, all the lights would come down. That happened twice.
Not even.
But if their idea is to do this now and then make this, I mean, I was speculating with you the other night, and it could Underground evolve into something that could host its own pay-per-view.
Well, yeah, because I think I discussed this last week, and I'll run through it again for those that may not have listened. What I'm thinking this could be if handled right. If they back end the show with it, the last hour is just Raw Underground. It allows the main Raw storylines to be short, sharp, and good, because any more than 2 hours is fucking dumb. Like it's starting to, like you and I watching Raw the other night really sort of pushed it. We're like, this is so long of a show.
Yeah, it does. It's 3 hours is a long push. I mean, it's a long.
Yeah, so having that 2 hours of Raw and then Raw Underground, it feels like two separate shows. That's what they should be doing. If they set up that back hour to be, this is Raw Underground, it's past 10 o'clock, it's a bit rougher, it's a little bit bloody, like, fuck it. Maybe give it its own belt, and then allow it to its own pay-per-view. Like, we got Payback. Why can't Payback just be an Underground, Look, it's like we live, we try to...
Brown belt being the thing that someone has to
like a hardcore style belt, I guess, something like that.
Punchy 1 hour format, rather than just saying, all right, we'll have some Underground stuff after 10. Make it okay. At 10, we become Raw Underground.
There's some issues here though in terms of the production. The cuts are fucking stupid fast, and it's gross, and it makes the matches seem shorter than they are. They're essentially doing like that action movie trick where every time they go for a punch, it cuts away to a different angle. It's like, no, hold it. Because like I said, as the name of the show suggests, the young and the wrestlers, we stick within the soap opera nature, we stick within the storylines and the kayfabe, because that's fun for us. Yeah. Kayfabe gone, what they're doing here is they're essentially trying to do work MMA matches. They want the hard-hitting feel of mixed martial arts, of the UFC, but in fixed outcomes and in quote-unquote a safer sort of setup. So if they want that brawler-esque feel, it's tough because brawler matches don't go for 20 minutes. They go for a couple of minutes and someone's probably getting pummeled. You know what I mean? It's like you don't have like a 40-minute like a traditional brawling street fight. Like we see WWE do street fights, but that's just essentially falls count anywhere with weapons. Where, if they want two dudes just punch and face. Like for that reason, it's tough for me to see them to do a full pay-per-view. Because even if it's a 2 hour and they pull back some old names, they bring out like, I don't know, make a retro, I'm trying to think of some old wrestling old pay-per-view names that would be really awesome.
Bash at the Beach, is that back yet?
Yeah, no, I think AEW own that one now. But you know what I mean? Like No Way Out, or like just those sort of old, because they're trying for an Attitude Era feel here, right? They're trying for that kind of edgier feel, right?
Attitude, but without the flash.
Yeah, like they want that dirtier, grittier sort of feel. So why not like run with that? And they're like, all right, well, we're gonna have our own little pay-per-view, and it's gonna essentially be like UFC, but Fight Island or whatever. Let's give it a belt, but not the hardcore belt, but it's kind of like that. It like kind of looks like shit. It's intentionally a shittier belt, but it's fuck it, why not, right? That's the only way that I see, because to their credit, they are really trying something. Like, this is technically fresh content, and they are taking a risk here. And WWE in the past try risk and then they cave really quickly. I think I think this allows other wrestlers that aren't having storylines right now be able to do something. You know, and it's going to allow them to
short, sharp, quick matches.
Yeah.
Forget having number one contenders and things like that. Have a ranking. Have a you are competing in Underground, and currently you are the 13th ranked competitor.
Yeah, put wins and losses. So at least for 1 hour a week, wins and losses matter.
Yeah, because AEW has proved that can work.
Yeah, the wins and losses are awesome, and I love that idea. And so why not do that here? And because you're only working with an hour of show, actually less. So with ad breaks, you're working for 40 minutes of show, right?
Yeah.
So with 40 minutes, that you have, 3 fucking matches. They go for 5-10 minutes each. Maybe cut some promos that are all fucking aggressive and angry. Drop some swears in there.
Little things just popped into my mind. How's this for an idea of how to handle Underground? Every week you have your matches, individual matches, however you want. You can say that we currently a match. This one's ranked this level. This one's ranked this level. Bang, boom, power through a few matches. But when it comes down to pay-per-view time, play it like an NXT Invasion the day before your main pay-per-view, and have the top 16 competitors round robin match, 2 hours. Bang, there's your pay-per-view.
Yeah.
It's top 16. The winner gets the current belt until the next pay-per-view.
Yeah, because even if they set it up like a takeover, right? 5 matches, nothing crazy. 4 matches, even, right?
If you got a top 8, it'd be what's that? 7 matches.
Yeah.
So you pick your top 8 or top 10 competitors, or have a round robin thing. But with top 8 people, you got 4 matches, then 2, then 2, then 1. Yeah. No.
Yeah. 4, and then so 4. So 4 wrestlers, 2 matches, 2 winners. Yeah. 1, 2.
So that's 7 matches. That could easily be an hour and a half to 2 hours if you play it right, with appropriate build-up. And yeah, it's in that style, that shoot fight, that quick match, that whole intensity level, but separate it from Raw. So that way you've got 2 products combined into one. And you're a lot less weary by the end of the 3 hours.
Yeah, and WWE has a problem with the 3rd hour. Like, I know I hate talking ratings because the average person shouldn't give a fuck about ratings.
Yeah.
Like, the amount of people that start talking about demos and ratings. Do you really fucking care? Why is it your business to care about ratings, you fucking idiot?
Yes.
But in terms of if that's the decision, maybe for them, the business move is, well, let's put something new in the 3rd hour. We constantly lose people by the second. Let's do that edginess. Like, let's add a little bit of to it, Like, let's get some blood in there. Like, that's, maybe not the same way that we saw, Matt Hardy blow out his forehead at AEW last week.
Wow.
But, we see some blood. Like, if they're going for that shoot fight, why not? It's not in front of crowds. Cut it. So suddenly their face is caved in, Yeah.
You've got the ability. We've proved that with the Boneyard match and the Boneyard match.
But even the match with Orton and Edge, that was set up like a standard regular match, but it was cut.
And it worked.
You know what I mean? So why not do the same thing? And rather than having the quick cut camera angles, hold it for a little while. Make it feel like you are literally watching a bunch of people fight in a street.
In fact, even if you were to do that, because they do the quick cuts a lot in the main show, leave that as it is, but then have the style change. So that way, rather than going, here's the show, and in the last hour we'll do a slightly different show. Here's the show, bang, new energy, here's another hour of something different. Still wrestling.
Well, that's the thing, because if you want it to feel like Underground, this is too flashy. Like, Underground should feel gritty and gross and unpolished.
And it should be on late at night.
And
it
not
should
produced.
Be the last So having it then, so here's the show, make your 2 hours tidy. Here's the end of Raw. Raw's finished, boom. The grungy music starts. Some lights turn on. Underground. Little wooden sign with Underground written on it. Boom, you're in. Bang.
Yep.
Make the whole production what you want it to be, rather than trying to slot it into Raw. make it 2 shows. I mean, you've got the 3 hours. You can do what you want within them.
Well, we've talked. Let's get away from Underground. We're talking Underground. Fucking, that's way too much. Let's get into the final, the main event of Raw. We had Kevin Owens versus Randy Orton in a belter of a match. I really, really liked it. It did essentially end with Randy getting an RKO on Kevin after an attempted stunner that didn't sort of come out.
Kevin did feel a little bit like a mark in this one, but he always steps up and puts in a good match. So he always gives his all whenever he's wrestling.
He went hard.
Kevin, he went very hard.
There were a bunch of finisher blocks early on, which I really enjoyed. It did spill out into the ring. Announce table got involved. You know, a lot of cannonballs from Kevin on to Randy on the outside. You know, I thought it was absolutely fantastic. But, you know, as expected, RKO wrecked him. Kevin Owens, 1, 2, 3, Dunskies. So Owens makes his way out. He's left. So Ric Flair, being a quote unquote manager with Randaddy, he comes out, jumps in the ring, essentially gets down to raise Randy's hand. Randy grabs the mic, and then we get this beautiful discourse between the two of them. Tell us what happened, Craig.
Just the delivery. I mean, Randy basically says, "All right, thanks for being in my corner, but I want you to hang around because I want to have a talk to you before we finish up. Hang around." And then he goes into his spiel, and he starts off by saying some beautiful stuff. You know, here I was a young man, I was in trouble in the wrestling. Who helped me? Ric Flair. You've been there for me. I've looked up to you. Blah blah blah. Basically building up, saying some beautiful things. But then there was a turn where he says, "But essentially." But now everything's changed. I don't respect you anymore, and here's why.
So you are not the Ric Flair that I knew. You are not the Ric Flair of old.
You are no longer the man I respected. You were basically addicted to the limelight, and said he went personal. He talked about his family. He talked about the reason that you're following me around now is you want me to be the son you never had, and I mean that's. Like I said, walking that kayfabe line, and that's what he does really well. So he did. He just tore into him, and then Rick picked up the mic and just spent 5-10 minutes of doing some of the most heartfelt stuff I've ever heard him do. I had a tear. I'm not going to lie. At one point, they're doing a big close up of him, and his eyes are watering. Just starting getting that look like he's about to see a tear. And it felt like it was from the heart. It wasn't from, Ric Flair the wrestler. It was from Ric Flair spelt with a weird E, family man who's been working hard his whole life, just pouring his heart out. It felt like it was coming from the man. And then, so he basically said, I'm addicted to the limelight. I want to see you do well. When I had my stroke, when I was in a coma for however long he was in, the first thing I wanted to do when I came out was call the people I love. And it just felt real. And then Randy turned around, put the arms out, went in for the big hug, and then punched him in the dick.
So Randy then punches a 71-year-old man in the cock, lays him gently to the ground, and then proceeds to punt him.
No, but again, in the beauty of the story is he drops him on the ground and he drops him real low and keeps talking to him. And when they zoom in, you can see him saying, I'm so sorry that it had to come to this. Exactly the same sort of thing he was doing with Edge, that sort of thing, that Randy genuinely believes that he's the good guy. And that's the bit I love about his angle. From his mind, he's doing the right thing. And then, he stood up, he stepped back, he lined him up. And then, in a rather fortuitous bit of timing, the anarchists stopped knocking over waste paper baskets out the back and turned the lights off for a moment, which for me just made it all the more effective. Randy comes in for the big kick, and then lights drop down, lights come up, Ric Flair's dead. Or at least he didn't look well.
Yeah, he's not looking good.
he was looking messed up.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Randy proved that he will punt a 71-year-old man in the head and punch him in the dick just to make a point.
Yeah. So Drew McIntyre then runs out. He's like, "You son of a bitch! You fucking punched an old man
in the dick! You evil son of a bitch!"
Yeah. Right in his haggis.
Yeah, so, let's talk about how bad he used to be. Well, that was a weird line they took a few weeks ago. With him saying his promo was saying how I used to be awful, but I'm okay now. But you. But now he just come out and said, "Nah, they've crossed the line. I'm going to kick your ass."
Yeah, so I'm going to make you fucking hurt.
Yeah, I'm going to kick your ass. You will see it coming. I love that too.
Especially with the whole slogan behind SummerSlam right now is like, "You won't see it coming." Like, we will. You've told us when SummerSlam's happening.
You will.
Yeah.
But just the story was engaged. I literally found myself just forgetting I was watching it with someone at the time. I was just focused on the story.
It was really good. Like, I enjoyed sort of Randy's approach, being like, "No, you're a liability. Like, you've essentially forced me into this match. You're not helping me. You're hindering me. Like, you did it. Like, you hindered me back then. You're hindering me now because you are Ric Flair. It's the limelight. So the only reason you ever had me involved was to help boost yourself. It was never to do with to the betterment of me. It was all about Ric Flair and his
that's
need
true.
and
The match
demand."
against Kevin Owen was started by Ric Flair. Ric Flair was talking to Kevin Owen and basically from that said, "All right, well then he'll fight you." And where, of course, Randy's saying, "Well, my focus should be on my match coming up. Why the hell am I fighting Kevin Owen? And the only reason I am is because you stuck your oar in and wanted to be famous."
Yeah, and then of course on Flair's side as well, some of the things he talks about, with essentially wanting to be there for his friend, and he wanted him to be the best in the world that he sees him being. He wants him to beat his 16-time world record.
When he said, "I don't want you to break Cena's record, I want you to break my record."
Yeah.
I teared up.
I loved it. I thought it was great. As someone that doesn't really give too much shit about Ric Flair, I think Ric Flair needs to stop just coming to fucking WWE right now.
Rick's got to the stage now where you go, "Yeah, we get it. You were awesome." But he just looked tired. Someone get him a chair.
But even this is the thing, like, we were discussing this the other day, right? I think we discussed it last week in the show, and I discussed it to you on the sides. Like, right, I don't want to be that guy that's like, "Well, AEW," but like, AEW, the way they handle their like old Hall of Famer talent is so much better. Like, WWE just seem to wheel out fucking Ric Flair occasionally, like very frequently. It's Ric Flair, it's Hulk Hogan, and that's about it, right? That's the people they can seem to get back consistently. And
that's
it's like,
true.
But like, okay, I don't give a fuck about Ric Flair. You know what I mean? Like he hasn't been relevant for a very long time.
Yeah, Ric Flair's more for my generation who was still watching.
Yeah.
Because I remember Ric Flair, well, maybe not even his prime. He was an older wrestler when I started watching. To give you an idea of how long he's been wrestling. Yeah, I used to watch him back in certainly not his youngest days. But he was a big part of wrestling when I got involved. So yeah, for me, it's always nice to see Ric Flair still kicking. But he's looking old now. He's looking like...
Yeah, at 71, I think he deserves time to not have to do this.
Yeah, exactly.
He's an old fucking man. He shouldn't be hanging around in Florida, which is currently full of coronavirus right now. Like, he shouldn't be there.
Yeah,
Let him go be old somewhere. All right?
Let him go be old somewhere.
All right, let's wrap it up. So that does bring us to the end of this week's episode of Raw. Craig, using our not so patented Kurt Angle rating, because Kurt Angle looks like a fucking thumb. What do you give it?
Look, we gave the first one the bar. This certainly finished a lot better. It's definitely getting one, perhaps one and a bar.
A Kurt and a bar.
Kurt and a bar. Kurt walking into a bar. It was better. The ending was better, but the first half of it, there was a lot of.
Yeah,
so
I see where you go.
Watching the whole show, we might have. If I wasn't watching the whole show in order to do this tonight, I don't know if I'd watched it all of it. I may have lost interest halfway through because the story was not treating me well.
Yeah. I'm down the middle. It's a fucking bar. Sorry, it's a Kurt. Right, it's a simple 1 out of 2, right half down the middle. I loved the back end with Ric Flair and Randy. I thought it was brilliant. So Banks versus Asuka was dope. I've had to project a lot of what I think would make Underground good, but with Underground being what it is, I'm like, it's fine. Don't give a shit about MVP and the Hurt Business. I love the Iconics, obviously, but they weren't really doing a whole lot here. And like with Riot Squad returning, not giving them much love, not giving them much support. Viking Raiders having a fucking match against fucking dudes in masks, boring. The whole, Zelina sort of, and the Andrade, Angel Garza, and the Street Profit story. I like it. I like where it's going. But it's like, okay, cool. Yeah, sure, fine. And for me, right in the middle, it was fine. Dominic Mysterio was involved. It was great. I really enjoyed that. But like, I feel that even the things that I liked,
photos.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I felt what I liked didn't really weigh up that much. But that does also bring us to the end of this show, Craig. Thank you so much for joining me this evening, replacing Jem as she has a week off.
No, I'm always happy to step up. I can never replace Jem, but I can only hope to keep people entertained until she returns.
That's right. So hopefully Jem will return next week, because next week we will also be having our... I'm frozen, apparently. There we go. Give me 1 second. I'll be back shortly. There we go. Next week we will have our Summerslam predictions, because presumably the majority of the card will be out at that point. We'll also be doing our prediction stream using the power of 2K20. I've done that in a little while, so be happy to return to that. But anyways, this has been our this has been the Young and the Wrestlers, the WWE wrestling podcast. We break down the storylines, the characters, the motivations, because it is fun for us. It comes at you every Thursday morning at 8 a.m. on your podcast services, 9 a.m. on those YouTubes. If you want to join that wrestling conversation, you can. Social medias, Twitter, Discord, Instagram, all those, Facebook, all those links are in the description below. You can join the conversation as it happens at twitch.tv/thepopcultures, where you can watch us record this show live. So want to support the show, you can. Tell your friends, tell your family about this wrestling pod. Go to your podcast service of choice, give it an old 5-star rating, a little written review, and of course, you can, if you're watching it on the YouTubes, you can be sure to give us a thumbs up, subscribe, leave a comment below, and you can also support us financially. Patreon.com/thepopcultures, as well as our merchandise store, popcultures.com/shop, where you can buy shirts and other assorted shit with our logos on it. But until next week, I'm Ryan Betson.
I'm the Mullet.
And we'll see you soon.
Hooroo.
The Young and the Wrestlers, the Pop Cultures WWE podcast, is fan support over at Patreon at patreon.com/thepopcultures. And we'd like to thank our Patreon producers and our Patreon founders for their kindness, their support, and their generosity. Our Patreon founders: Alpha Ferret, Craig O'Flaherty, David Chataway, Jesse Stevenson, and Jacob Garner. And our Patreon producers: AJ Abatomi, Damian Holdies, Kyle Dunn, Lee Wintershoven, Nathan Massetti, Paul James, Pure Mongrel, and Sean Levitt.